Hey sister friends, it's Terry from Sisterhood of the Traveling Brush, and I have this big dresser. I think Trudy said it was Broyhill, that I got from Gypsy Blue in Oakdale, Louisiana. Just because it's a heavy and a piece made by a big company doesn't always mean that it's made out of solid wood and things like that. You see that a whole lot, like on Marketplace, solid wood. It's not solid wood. Broyhill and all them, they don't make solid wood furniture. They make heavy furniture, but the furniture's made out of like particle board. I mean, that's a fact, and that's just what you're gonna see nowadays. Let me hold up one of these and show you. This looks like a solid wood drawer, but if you turn it over, that's not solid wood. That's a piece of veneer, which is a very, very, very thin piece of wood glued to the front of this. These sides looks like wood. That's not wood. If you look really, really close, you can see where this is like heavy duty contact paper type stuff that's on there to make it look like wood. Now this is still Broyhill. It's still a heavy piece of furniture. It has a lot of life left in it. And the reason I thought it was important to come on and share this today is there's a lot of us who get one of these and it used to be our daddy's, or you know, we're setting up our first home and you know, we found this at a garage sale for $25. And then you get home with it and you start noticing the flaws and you're like, crap, now what do I do? Well, I'm not gonna throw this away. Trudy gave this to me to give a new life to, and we know when it's coming from, you know, used furniture that it's not gonna be in good condition. But I don't want anybody to think that just because it's not in good condition that you have to give up, because you don't have to give up. And I wanted to show you a few things. One thing, I'm gonna hold this up close again. This is one of the like inside drawers. There's a hunk missing out of it. There's a rough place right here. Whitney, my assistant, has already cleaned this with Dixie Belle White Lightning, but we forgot and sanded a piece next door to it. So now we have to wipe it back off before we start. This one has, that's part of that paper torn off of it. That's rough right there. You can't just paint over that. You know, you can't just paint over that. There are several things that we can do with that. We can put the decoupage papers over it. We can put some mud on it. We can use sea spray and put some texture on them. We can use Retique It liquid wood and liquid wood over it, which is what I'm thinking of doing on the top. I'm not going to be able to show you that part in the video because I can't pick up this heavy dang thing. I've got it on rollers, but I still can't pick it up, but hopefully you'll get it from this. Right here, it's bubbled under there. You know what I mean? It feels a little bit rough. It's got a little bit of texture, but it's bubbled under there. That's not going to cover with paint. That's not going to cover with stain. That's going to show more once we do something else to it. So that needs to be sanded, right? But when we sand that to make it smooth, we're going to be taking off some of this factory finish. If we're not careful, we'll be sanding through this veneer and we won't be able to have it be a smooth surface after. So I'm thinking that I might use the Retique It because I haven't used it before, and that may be something good for, you know, me to do a video and share with y'all my learning experience with it. Because from what I understand, you paint that on like a regular paint, but it's really like not wood filler, but it has wood particles in it. So the wood particles that are in it give you a smooth wood surface that you can then stain. And you know how they finish a lot of pieces now where the top is stained and the bottom is painted. That's possibly something we could do, and we could try using the Retique It on there, get the liquid wood on there and see how we like that and learn something new. This has really good hardware on it. It's very big and it's very heavy. And when you remove them, and Whitney has removed all the rest for us, it says made in Canada, which we were surprised it didn't say made in China. It said made in Canada. But this particular one doesn't have the bar that goes in between them, and it's a decorative one. So we're gonna have to change out all the hardware or find a matching piece, which is sometimes difficult to do and not cheap, or we're gonna have to, you know, change out all the hardware or leave it like this. So that's another thing when you get the piece and you're thinking, you know, I could still use this in, you know, a spare bedroom without that handle. I mean, in my lifetime, I've used many dressers that didn't have all the handles. But this is going to be for sale. You know what I mean? That's the difference with this is somebody going to buy this for me after I put, you know, 20 hours into it and, you know, $50 worth of paint and Retique It and supplies and cleaning the hardware and all the things that we'll do. This is on one of the good drawers. There's a corner missing. Let me see if I can turn it around and hold it up for you to see. Somebody's dog chunked that out, guaranteed. That's probably what happened right there, is it got bit off. But if you look, here's how people are thinking, oh, that's a solid wood drawer. Well, this front piece, this piece, that is solid wood. But when you chip that off, you can, I don't know if I can get it clear enough for y'all to see. Right there, that's particle board. That's particle board. So that's something that we could build up with Bondo. They have like a Bondo that, like when you fix a car, but they have a Bondo that you can use for wood surfaces. We could put Bondo right there. We could put Dixie mud right there or whatever to close that back in and have a little piece to go right there. I mean, it's got the corner missing. We've got to do something on there. For one, we'll make it the bottom drawer. It's still going to work. If you look at this drawer as well, it's wrinkled right here, sort of damaged. So something's got to be done with that. I just sanded it using this random orbital sander. It's a DEWALT, and I think it's in my Amazon store if you're interested. And I picked up these 120 grit little, they call them hook and loop, but it feels soft, sanding discs at Harbor Freight, and maybe they were like $8.99 or something like that. But anyways, you just turn it on right here. Boom, can you see that? And depending on the grit of your sandpaper, it takes off more or less. And as a little tip, the lower the number, like an 80 grit is real tough and a 200 grit is real light. So there you go. So now we cleaned this piece yesterday with Dixie Belle White Lightning. This is my wood graining tool from Dixie Belle, and I lost the stick that goes in it. So I'm gonna try it with this paintbrush. We'll see. And we have a butter knife, the emergency tool here. What we're trying today is Retique It liquid wood. What I've decided to do in my mind is I'm gonna put a coat of the light wood on, and it apparently dries pretty fast, and I'll probably put a coat of the dark wood on, then use the wood graining tool. So some of the other will show through, so we'll see how that works. This is not sponsored in any type of way. I bought this stuff from them. That way you can always give your absolute honest opinion and nobody's gonna be mad at you. Well, I'll tell you the first thing right now. I'm not accustomed to the paints and products that I use having any kind of smell. And this smells, so and shaking didn't do it. Look, it's thin as water on top and got a big hunk in there. So shaking, I'm apparently not a good shaker. From what I gather, I'm surprised how thin it is. I expected something thick, kind of like wood putty or kind of like wood icing, but it's actually very thin. But you know, I know it's going to get thicker as I stir this up. It's actually stirring in very fast. I probably could have shook it longer. I think it's so full it didn't have much shaking room in there. But I really I like the look, and I'll tell you this secret too. What I usually do is paint this brown. If I want it to look natural with the dark color up here and then paint something lighter, what I usually do is just paint the dang thing brown, or paint it like a pine cone and then put, you know, chocolate or something like that over in the Dixie Belle colors, and then come through with the wood graining tool, and that's fine. But this has a lot of damage to it, and I mean, you can't just stain right through a factory finish. So that's why I really wanted to try this. This apparently has wood particles in it, kind of like, not wood shavings or anything. I'm imagining like little fiberglass pieces, but they're wood. That means when I paint this on here, we actually have a wood surface. Here's the last thing to decide right now, is whether we're just gonna do the very top, whether we're gonna come over the lip a little bit, or whether we're gonna go all the way down to the bottom of this whole wood piece here, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. Feel no more chunk in the bottom or anything like that. Let's see, wish me luck. Where's that brush? Sorry, you're probably fixing to see a picture of my butt. It's still very thin. Ooh, it's got a lot of, and this is what I expected with shaking it instead of stirring it. Is like, man, when you shake stuff, you get a lot of air bubbles. This definitely has a lot of air bubbles. I'm telling you that right now. Lots of air bubbles. So I'm gonna have to pay good attention to going back and forth over this until I pop all those bubbles. But what I'm hoping doing this in a two-part process will do is help to hide where some of the finish had worn off. And I think the thinness of it may be how and why that it dries so fast. Right here is where there was a rough textured area yesterday, and I sanded that. That's why I had the sander out a little while ago. I'm trying to hurry at this point because I don't want that end to dry before I get this end put on. So I'm going to try to move a little bit faster right here. And this one says, stir continuously until smooth. And it says they have a bunch of how-to videos. Probably would have been smart to watch that first. Oh, this doesn't look that dark, and look, it's already thicker. Oh, it just stayed suspended better because it feels, there's no big lumps in here, and it feels maybe a little bit thicker than the other color, but not by very much. What I'm going to do now is do the whole alongside the back and then move forward, and one little bit at a time. So hopefully I'm not too much in the way. I'm going to do the best I can. Okay, this is the dark wood, although it still looks, you know, kind of medium. I've stirred it instead of shook it, and there's way less bubbles. The way I like to do when I'm using the wood graining tool is to do a whole run and then go back and do the next run and then go back and do the next one, and not have too much on here to begin with. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I have one coat all the way down. Here's my makeshift wood graining tool, and hopefully you can see. If not, I've got a video on just doing wood graining tool, but not with Retique It. Can you get a good look with that? I'll post a picture. That'll be much easier. The little drawers that we hadn't decided what to do with that go behind the door there, we put the Retique It on yesterday, one coat of light, one coat of dark, and then let it dry, which then it looked like this, which looks good, but I'm not a fan of the color. And then this morning I put 2 coats of stain actually on this drawer. Can you see the difference? I love the darker. I think it looks so much better. And I'm using Retique It's stain. It says gel stain, quick drying, eco-friendly, no odor, no VOCs, blah, blah, blah. Black walnut. It's very thin. I've stirred it up. It says to stir it up, and it says it dries in about 2 hours. But I'm going to try to go ahead and put a coat on this for you to see. Then I'm going to do the top back here. I just wasn't sure how all that would come on video. So this is just a sponge brush that came with the stuff from them. So that's what I'm using. You could use a rag, or you could use whatever, and whatever stain you want to use. But it just, can you see? There we go. It goes on pretty dark, but I watched, and it didn't say. I looked on their instructions like leave it 5 minutes or wait 10 minutes or anything like that. And I was so afraid because of the experience I had with staining over paint on my bathroom cabinets to leave it on too long that then it wouldn't want to come off. But one other tip I've got, and hopefully you can see here, is the areas that were damaged and stuff like that, showing the particle board and stuff through. I'm just dabbing some of this dark stain in it, and it's covering it up and making that less visible. This has saved me much time and money on fixing these pieces. Okay, so I'm just gonna wipe off these edges first. Just wiping it off. And then I'll show you this with one coat. And this is just cut up old t-shirts. So I'm going to show you real quick the difference between one coat and two coats. See there, it's lighter, but it is darker than the original. But I'm going to come back right away, right now, and go ahead and put on another coat. But you can layer this as many times as you want to layer it until you get the color you want. I'm going to use this Sherwin-Williams shrink-free spackle because I have some from when we were working on the building next door, and I'm going to fill the hardware holes on 2 of the drawers, and I'm going to use the original hardware on 4 of the drawers and just have the top drawers have a different hardware, and that'll make up for the one that's damaged and keep me from having to add the expense of adding all new hardware. I think it'll look cute. I think that looks really good. I don't know if this one is still quite as dark as this one. I think it's not. That's odd. So I don't know if this needs to dry a minute to give me that darkness or put them side by side. They match good. And there, I wish I could put this where you could see it, because here's still the undone one compared to the darker one. So there's definitely still a difference. And what I think is making the difference is how long it's on the undercoat, the light one. So I'm gonna do the rest of these and do the top, and I'll post some pictures. Thanks for watching.